are here today at the earthly resting place of an American hero, one of the first persons to call himself a citizen of the United States. We're here today to celebrate his life and the contributions that he made to the establishment of that country. Before I go any further today, I want to recognize some of the special people here today whose efforts, or without whose efforts, it would not have been possible for this celebration to occur. My special thanks go out to Hugh Barrow, a member of the Casimir-Pulaski chapter of the SAR, who more than any other person is responsible for this event. And finally, to all of you, the offspring of Thomas Trammell, for allowing me to be a part of the ceremony today.
Thank you, President Swinson. My name is George Wheelis, and I'm the Secretary-Treasurer of the Casimir-Pulaski Color Guard Commander. Present the colors. Will you stand, please?
History is not out there. History is here. History is alive in each of us as we carry what has been given to us.
I'll leave that to Hugh to tell the story of Thomas Trammell. At this time, I'd like to recognize Hugh Barrow, who will give us a biography of Thomas Trammell.
My great-great-grandfather, Thomas Trammell, the Revolutionary War soldier we are honoring here today, was born in Stafford County, Virginia in 1747. The earliest record of our Trammell family in Virginia is found in the minutes of the Grand Court of Virginia, dated 5 March 1675 in this entry. Under oath of Captain Moore, that Thomas Trammell came to this country but for 4 years. It is ordered that he be acquitted from service, and that Mr. Francis Wythe, his master, to pay him coin and clothes according to customs and cost. We believe that the first Thomas was about 20 years old, having been born in England around 1650. This Thomas had a son, James John, who had a son named Daniel, who was the father of our Thomas here today. In early 1760, Daniel moved his family from Fairfax County, Virginia, which is located near President Washington, D.C., to that part of South Carolina known as the 96th District, where he had grown by patent 200 acres. The 96th District was located just to the east of the present-day Spartanburg. In 1774, our Thomas, a Revolutionary War soldier, bought these 200 acres from his father and soon married 17-year-old Mary Turner. Thomas and Mary settled down in their log cabin located in the 96th District, and in early 1780, when Thomas joined the South Carolina militia, they had 2 children. We have very few records of Thomas's militia service, other than what was found in Mary's pension applications, which came a little later. We have application records that Thomas Trammell served in Lieutenant and later Joseph Hughes' company of Colonel Thomas Brandon's regiment. We also have the published data from the SAR that Captain Hughes' company served in Colonel Benjamin Roebuck's regiment. Both Brandon and Roebuck's regiment were recruited and composed of men from the 96th District. All sources state that he served in Lieutenant Hughes' company, and it seems that this company served in both Brandon's and Roebuck's regiment at one time or another during the war. The company is listed as mounted rifle horse, but the pension data states that the company sometimes served as foot. I have read an account where Colonel Roebuck asked Colonel Brandon to loan him some men to fight in what became the Battle of Mud Lick Creek, and this is evidently where the SAR information came from. The militiamen in these backwoods areas were part-time soldiers, often spending time at home in time of planting and harvesting the crops, and oftentimes made up of men who could be gathered quickly on short notice and were actually minute men. and since both regiments from the same militia district, they possibly served in each regiment. Much of the militia's time was spent in protecting the local rebel population from the Indians and many Tory warriors to the king. Hugh's company is listed as serving under Colonel Brandon at the Battle of Kings Mountain in September 1780 and at the Battle of Capiens fought in October 1780. At Capiens, Brandon's regiment served in the second line of defense against the notorious Colonel Buttersteer Tarleton, who was famous for the order, "Give no quarter." At the Battle of Mud Lick Creek, which was known as Roebuck's defeat, fought on March 2nd, 1881, Hugh's company is listed as serving in Roebuck's regiment. 2 months later, at the Battle of 96, it is again listed as being in Brandon's regiment. As far as we know, Thomas was not wounded or captured during his time of service. After the war's end in 1884, Thomas and his family moved to new lands in Hancock County, Georgia, and lived there for about 13 years, and then located to Clark County, where his sons were already living. In 1821, a treaty with the Creek Indians ceded to the United States all the creek lands between the Okmulgee and Flint Rivers. Several large new counties, including Monroe, were formed in these lands. Soon Monroe was split into several smaller counties, including Pike. Pike was named for General Zebulon Pike, his many accomplishments, including the discovery of Pikes Peak in Colorado. The new lands were divided by the land lottery, and the 75-year-old Thomas Trammell, as a Revolutionary War veteran, grew a lot. He and Mary, along with their youngest son, Drakeford Lee, moved to the new Pike County land, traveling over the old Alabama Road. Their new home and property was in the part of Pike County, which soon would become the part of an even newer county, Upson, which was created in 1824. Thomas died on his farm in September 1823 at the age of 76 years, only just over a year after he had moved to the newly opened lands. The only information we had on Thomas' burial place was that he was buried in Pike County. His will was filed in Pike County and told how he wanted to divide his property, which included 19 family Negroes who were never called slaves by the Trammell. Mary and her son continued to live in Pike and Upson County after Thomas' death. Mary is listed as an Upson County landholder in 1824-25, and she's listed in the head of family in the first census of Upson County in 1830. The Trammells are listed in Carolyn Walker Nottingham's The History of Upson County as being one of the early white families to settle in the new Pike Upson County lands. Later on, Mary drew land in the newly opened Alabama area, which was ceded to by the Creeks in 1832, and moved to Chambers County, Alabama. I was accepted in the Sons of American Revolution organization in the service of another great-great-grandfather, Private Moses Barrow, a Revolutionary War soldier from North Carolina. Moses moved from North Carolina to Washington County, Georgia after the Revolutionary War, and is buried in an unmarked grave somewhere along Keg Creek, about midway between Sandersville and Milledgeville. In addition to my searching for Moses Barrow gravesite, I'd sought for many years to locate the grave of Thomas Trammell, whom we are honoring today. We knew that Thomas was buried in either Pike or the part of Pike which had become Upson County. And Joyce told you how I found this in the books that they did, so I won't go into that. But I was greatly surprised to find out that so many SAR and DA books I'd gone was looking for it. I was really amazed when I found that Thomas Trammell was buried in the Antioch Church, Baptist Church, in Alpha, US 19. In 1823, the year that Thomas died, Antioch Methodist Church was not located where we are today. One record that I have been given states that Antioch Methodist Church was formed in 1830 and was located near the old Alabama Road, just a short distance north of here. This date is several years after the death of Thomas. I expect, although the 1830 date may be correct, that there were probably some sort of church service being held before that date, as the Trammell family was staunch Methodists and very religious, and would certainly have been attending some kind of service. One article states that there were 2 Revolutionary War soldiers buried in the old Antioch Baptist Church cemetery. Probably one of these was Thomas Trammell. About 1835, the little log church, Antioch Church, was moved a short distance down the road to its present location. No one seems to know the location of the original church where this cemetery was, except that it was near the Alabama Road. Today there are no signs of the church or cemetery. We have learned that there are no church records of the early years of Antioch Methodist Church, with the first recorded minutes available being dated in 1866 after the Civil War. We immediately came down to Thomaston and searched the cemetery here, and of course didn't find any marked grave of Thomas Trammell, even though there were many unmarked graves out there and a lot of unmarked lots. I applied for a Veterans Administration marker for Thomas and was awarded a beautiful marble marker we'll honor today. On the face of the marker I inscribed, "In memory of Thomas Trammell, Private Hughes Company, Roebuck's Regiment, South Carolina Line, Revolutionary War, 1747 to September 22nd, 1823. This is, except for in memory of, is the information which appears in the SAR publication. We added the in memory of because we, of course, did not know the exact place of the burial. On the reverse side of the mark, I had inscribed the information found on Mary's pension application. This is, also served in Brandon's Regiment, battles of Kings Mountain, Cowpens, Mudlick Creek in '96. The church trustees selected a lot in the older section of the cemetery where we could place the marker. I wanted my own family to be the ones to do the work placing the marker in the cemetery ground. On a cold day in February, my wife Bonnie, my daughter Ann, my son Lou, and one who did most of the work, my grandson Janie, and 5 great-grandson of Thomas, dug a hole and placed the marker in cement. It is difficult to describe how happy and proud I was to learn of my Revolutionary War heroes' ancestors' resting place. I want to thank the Carrollton Sons of the American Revolution for placing the new books in the library, and I hope that they will help others as much as they helped me. I also want to thank Reverend Barnes and the trustees, Mr. Burl Allen and Miss Glenda Hill, for all the work they've done with me. Then I especially want to thank Mr. Aldo Ellaby, an old friend who I first met many years ago when I was a young DuPont technical representative. Worked with him at the good old Thomas Mills Bleacher and Dye Works. He is trustee and treasurer of Antioch Methodist Church, and has seen to many details of getting this program together. I also want to thank the John B. Gordon Camp and the Sons of Confederate Veterans for decorating the graves of the Confederate veterans buried in the cemetery. I counted 13 of them today. And of course, the entire Trammell family wishes to thank all the members of the Sons of the American Revolution from Carrollton, especially Mr. George Willis, as well as all from around the state, and ladies and daughters of the American Revolution from Thomaston and other chapters for their organizing and conducting this beautiful dedication ceremony. We appreciate and thank every one of you who came out to help us honor a soldier, who fought for the opportunity for us to become a free and independent nation under God.
Remain standing. We will have Amazing Grace played by John Morrison Piper.